Doctrine written, staying deaf to a critic. I'm me, I can't listen. If they try to set ceilings, we gon' push it past limits.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Awkward Situations, the series where you guys share your awkward situations that you've gone through in the past or that you're currently going through, embarrassing stories, or anything else you want to talk about in the comment section below. And then I take a few of those comments and I talk about them during this series. So we're going to talk about a few more serious things today, like a couple of serious awkward situations. I believe there's two that kind of stick out as this is not super light stuff. And I want to give the reminder whenever I do that I am not a therapist. I'm not qualified in any way to talk about this other than I'm another human being like all of us. And I try to talk about things I can relate to. That was the premise of the series, that I'm an awkward person and I can relate to a lot of the awkward stories. But as we've gone through the series, you see a lot of difficult life problems. And I kind of hold those in my folder where I save the awkward situations for when I'm in the right mood to talk about them, because I cannot relate to them. So to talk about them is not as easy as talking about some of these other awkward situations that I can relate to. And we're going to do that today. Again, I'm not a licensed therapist. If you have I often recommend people go to therapy because it's just good in general. It's like taking your car to the shop. You know, your brain is like the car of your body. But then what's the rest of it, Joel? The wheel. Well, it's like the engine. I don't know a lot about cars. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Beta male here that you all know and love. But it's good for everyone, even if you're not going through some tough stuff. And if you are going through tough stuff, it's especially good to go to the doctor when you have a broken bone, to go see a therapist or a psychologist or whatever you would call that person when you're going through difficult times. So always a good recommendation. And obviously, if you're experiencing a crime, go to the police. So that's my long-winded reminder to everyone who watches this series when we're going to talk about some more serious stuff that I have trouble personally relating to. So hopefully I can explain things in my own personal view, and we'll have a good time. So enjoy my subpar Rocket League gameplay once again. New COD DLC dropping soon, so I'm sure I'll have some new COD gameplay for you in the near future. What other games am I into? I'm into Fortnite, but that isn't super exciting to watch in this format, I believe. And I know a lot of you just listen to the video anyway. So with that said, let's get to our update today. We have a great update, and then we got 4 awkward situations from you, including one that I forgot to read last week because I couldn't find it on my computer. But here's the update for you right now. So I don't remember what episode this is from, but I remember the situation. It was a tough one. A guy who wanted to propose to his girlfriend, but his girlfriend's brother recently got into an accident and was put into a coma for a long period of time. Not very responsive. Obviously, the family was devastated, and it would not be the most appropriate time to propose to his girlfriend. So he shared this update, which I wanted to share with all of you. Hey, Joel, update to my weird situation from late October. Mine was the timing on proposing to my longtime girlfriend whose brother was just hit by a car. Wasn't sure when I should do it, if I even should. Well, I did it recently on her birthday. Her brother never woke up from his coma and is still completely unresponsive today. He went from the hospital to a rehab center and now is living at home with 24/7 care. Needless to say, I don't think his situation is going to improve for a while, and I thought it best to at least try and move on with my original plan. I took her father to dinner to just discuss the situation and the shitty timing, and he thought the world of that. He told me that he appreciated how thoughtful I was about the situation, and we had a nice discussion about it, and I proposed later that day. It's still a shitty ending because he is still not responsive. I'm ecstatic that I was finally able to take the first steps in marrying the love of my life, but still feel all these emotions that I can't seem to get in check about the whole situation. His life is practically over in such a short fucking moment. It's not fair. Anyways, I thought I would update you about the situation if you even see this. Thanks for reading. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that update. There's obviously a lot to unpack here. I'm disappointed to hear that her brother has not improved, but I'm obviously happy that you were finally able to propose. And I think that was a really good move to take her father out to dinner and vent to him about how you're feeling and get it all out in the open. I think he was able to see how you were feeling, and it made him that much more comfortable and that much more positive about what you wanted to do. In dark times, it helps to have a light to look forward to. He's obviously devastated about his son, but he can look forward to a new beginning with you and his daughter starting a new family. It's tough to try to navigate these types of situations, and the best possible thing you can do is try to put yourself in that person's shoes, as hard as it may be, even if you can't relate to that kind of pain and that kind of grief, that kind of confusion about why this happens. Like you said, it's unfair. You don't know if he's going to improve, or you're hoping for a miracle, essentially. You're trying to convince yourself of things over and over. It's a lot to handle. And I think you navigated this as perfectly as you can in a situation in which there is no perfect way to do something. So really appreciate you sharing this update. It's a great blueprint for people who are going through similar things. Like this next person, the first awkward situation of the day, we're going to read right now. Today's first awkward situation says, Joel, I need some advice. My girlfriend's mother was recently diagnosed right after Christmas with cancer. Since then, my girlfriend has changed so much. She has become depressed and has lost motivation to do anything, really. Things she used to previously enjoy, such as drawing or playing Pokemon, she has stopped entirely. She is crying a lot every day, and I don't know what to do to help her. Can I do anything? Apparently, her mother has something like 2 to 5 years to live, which is awful because almost all of her family she has is in Poland. The only ones in the United States are herself and her parents. What sucks even more is that she is close to her mother and pretty distant from her father. It seems to be having a significant impact on our relationship as well. She is spending less time with me, which is expected, but she also has stopped saying things like, I love you to me, and it's really hurting. She's also taking out a lot of her anger on me and just flipping out over very small things, and she's making me feel like shit. I don't know what to do. Well, I appreciate you sharing this, dude. Obviously a very difficult situation. One of those things I was talking about at the start where I don't have the same completely relatable experience to you, but I know some people in the comments do. So I always look for advice from those people as well. And I know a few people replied to you, and I thought that was really cool and really helpful. One of my favorite things about this series, just a bunch of people talking about stuff. So I like that. But this is obviously a very difficult time for your girlfriend. By the way you wrote things, you can understand that. And I can see the empathy in what you're saying. You understand that this is the closest person she has, and it compounds the situation that the rest of her family is in Poland. So she's probably going through many, many different emotions. And it's hard for you because while you want to be as supportive as possible, you're also taking a lot of that grief head on. I mean, like you said near the end, she is expressing her grief by lashing out and getting angry at you, which obviously is going to make you feel like shit as well, even though you're trying to be as helpful as you can. And I try to imagine what I would do in this situation. I can't set it up exactly the same because, you know, all of my family's here and all of Megan's family is here. But I guess I would just go. This is one of those situations where you have to use that ultimate sense of how you're feeling as a person and try to work through those gray areas of, I want to be there for this person, but I'm feeling like shit. I mean, there's really nothing you can do but be as supportive as possible and work those angles in which you feel like you can help her. You know, maybe go the extra mile for her, clean her house sometimes, really show that you're trying to be there for her, and get her favorite snacks if you can sometimes. If it means that much to you, you know, if you want to be there, and if it gets difficult, admit it's difficult. This is maybe a situation that therapy or couples therapy would be a good thing for. I don't know what your financial situation is, but if this was something Megan and I were going through, I'd certainly be talking to professionals of some sort. You know, I'm sure an oncologist would recommend some type of therapy for something like this when someone doesn't have a lot of time to live. But it would be nice if you could help her. And if she wants you to help her, this is one of those things where it's going to be tough to read her state. Even if you talk to her mind state, she might not be able to adequately express it, which is totally reasonable in this situation. But I hope she can get all of her affairs in order with her mother. If you said her father is distant, then there's a practical side of this that it would be nice if her mom helped her out with that before anything happens. And, you know, if she's able to beat it, great. If not, then you have that in place for the future. You know, I'm speaking of a will and it's just nice to know like computer passwords. I remember this is really personal, but my father had his parents pass away, both of them, within a 3-month time span when I was 13 years old. And that was really formative for me because I always, I think of my dad as my hero. And as I've gotten older, he's revealed to me more. When you're a parent, you have to kind of put on a face, like you have to be strong for your children. If you're having money problems, don't share those with your kid, because what's your kid going to do about it? You have to put on a face for a lot of things. But as I've gotten older, the thing I've appreciated about my relationship with my parents is I've gotten to see them more as people. But they've revealed we do have flaws. We've made mistakes with you as children. We have the same fears and the same, you don't magically become a superhero when you have a child. And that was cool for me to learn. And one of the first times I really saw this and saw how difficult being an adult can be, and just going through life in general can be, is when my dad's parents passed away in a short period of time. And they did not leave things in order for him, and he had to take on the responsibility of sorting out the will, and it's family members who weren't necessarily that close to each other in his family, and selling the house and all of that stuff. He had help from my other family members. They were really supportive, but as a 13-year-old, I saw what kind of toll that takes on a person. So I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here, but if practically she can find some way to get that stuff in order, it's going to make, I think, the whole process a lot easier. And then, but I don't know if that's on you to push the issue. Again, I wish I was an expert in this, man. This is something that there is no perfect answer for. I'm just trying to relate any personal experience I can to this situation, but it's not like you guys are going to be eating an ice cream sundae together one day and you're going to be like, hey, so does your mom have a will? Like, that'd be a fucking stupid thing to say. But I just be as supportive as you can, but also take care of yourself. Let's speak metaphorically. If you're getting punched in the face emotionally on a day in, day out basis, you need to take care of yourself in order to be able to take care of her, in order to be able to see things clearly to take care of her. So think of that first while you're still being supportive. And there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days. Again, I feel for you. I'm so sorry that you're in that situation. I'm so sorry she's in that situation, and obviously her mother. And I hope that you can navigate these waters, and an update would be nice. She's going to have good days, she's going to have bad days, and just try to put yourself in her shoes. Wish I had better things to say, but it's one of those tough ones. So let's move on to the next awkward situation right now. Next awkward situation says, so Joel, a bit of a different one for you here. I'm 18 and currently live in the UK. However, I've always dreamt on moving over to the US. I currently have a very easy life that allows me a lot of time off, and I have the opportunity to go over to California for a couple of weeks. I will be staying with a couple that my parents are very good friends with, as they live out there, and although they do not have any kids themselves, they are welcoming enough to allow me to stay with them. Unfortunately, I'd be going by myself because of certain circumstances, but through means such as Xbox, social media, etc., I've encountered many nice people in the US over time, both male and female, some in California, some in other states, that have happily said they would hang out with me, take care of me, and show me around. Although I have known these people for years and trust them to an extent, I'm just worried that if I go over there, no one would meet up with me, and I'd be over there for a couple of weeks on my own, feeling sorry for myself and not knowing what to do. I've been reassured that because I have an accent, I could easily make friends because American girls love British accents, but although I think I'm a nice enough guy that gets along with most people, I'm not really the kind of person to just randomly go up to people and talk to them. Any thoughts/advice on the situation would be great. Thank you. Well, again, another thing I cannot relate to, but I thought this was cool, something I've never seen before. It's always nice to talk about kind of unique, awkward situations. A lot of people will always comment that they feel like I'm doing the same awkward situations over again, when I would say 90% of the time it's just that people are going through similar things, which is kind of the point of this series. I guess it kind of shows you that you don't have to feel isolated and alone in your own issues, but, whatever, that's a tangent. He also mentioned that he was going to be in San Diego. So more specifically than visiting California, he's going to be in the San Diego area. So what I would say to you, man, is that you're being a little negative about the people meeting you. I think they would think it's really cool to meet you. Maybe one person's going to blow you off, but if you know a couple of people, I think that would be a cool thing to meet someone I've met on the internet. I've done that before. It's actually pretty nice. And then they're your friends in real life, because that's how social interaction works nowadays. It's not that weird to meet people from the internet anymore, unless you're on a dating website and the guy has an 8-pack in the picture, and then you meet him and he has a cat t-shirt that doesn't fit very well because it's tight and his belly is wide. That's an unfortunate circumstance of dating in the 21st century. But other than that, I mean, I don't think you got to worry about that with these guys or these girls. They're probably nice folks. But if you're worried and want to have a backup plan, maybe you could sign up for some type of club. There's a lot of things going on in San Diego. I was hanging out in Pacific Beach last time I was in San Diego at a couple of different bars, and there was an athletics club that would be drinking at the bar, and there's like surfing lessons. You could take surfing with a couple of people, some type of surfing class, and you can bond with people in the class and say, hey, you know, I'm here from England and I'm just trying to see what the traders are doing over here on this continent. Those damn traders throwing our tea into the water, I'll shoot them all, said my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. He was no, actually, I did a little research project. Some of my relatives were indentured servants in England, so I don't share the sympathy. But then also, I probably had ancestors who were redcoats or what. I don't know. Let's not talk about that. It's ancient history, that Revolutionary War stuff. But I think if you want to kind of hedge your bets socially, you might sign up for a couple of classes and or clubs that you could. I mean, maybe you could, if there's a cancellation policy, maybe you could cancel them if you feel like you don't necessarily want to do that. But it would be a way to like socially hedge your bets and have something to do while you're here, something very focused to do, because it sounded like you were also concerned about your day-to-day schedule, seeing as the people you're staying with don't have anyone your age, and while you could hang out with them a little bit, it would get boring after a while. So it would be cool to take a surfing class. I don't know if you can do that on that famous old island that you live on. And then you can bond with the people around you about what you're experiencing. That's what makes it very easy to talk to people when you're sharing a common experience. It makes it easy to open up a conversation. That's the toughest part about a conversation. It's just, that's why they call it breaking the ice. Because once you break that ice, get that conversation started, it's a lot easier to move into other parts of the conversation. You know, how long have you been in San Diego? What do you like most about San Diego? You could quiz them a bunch of any American you talk to, essentially. You can act like you're, I don't know if you guys remember Borat, that movie Borat, where Sacha Baron Cohen's character comes to America and he starts interviewing Americans about American life and how to live here. You could kind of just do the non-socially awkward version of that and just ask a bunch of questions. You know, what do you like about living in California? Because it's completely different from where you live. The environment is different and the options of things to do are different. There's different food there. So there's a lot of things you could talk to people about and learn. You don't have to necessarily walk up to girls at a bar and say, I have a British accent, please touch my penis. That would be very forward and weird, but I think you can work your way into a couple of different situations. And if anyone has any suggestions in the comments, I would appreciate it for this one in particular. The first one that popped into my head was the classes thing or the clubs thing, whatever you would. Well, clubs are kind of a long-term thing, but if you want to take some classes, I think that's something worth looking into, just to have something in your day-to-day schedule. But with that being said, check the comments for other advice, man, if you feel like that wasn't a lot. Hopefully some people will mention some things, and then we'll move on to the next awkward situation right now. Hey, Joel, I have a pretty small but awkward situation that comes up quite a bit. So I have a girlfriend I've been seeing for almost 3 years now, and I've gotten pretty close with her parents. However, every time I see her parents, I never know what to call them. I don't know if I should call them by their first name or Mrs./Mr. Blank. I usually just say, hey, what's up, every time I see them, and it's always weird for me not calling them by an actual name. I'm not the best talker, especially with them, so it's always kind of awkward interacting with them. Thanks for helping if you decide to read. So this is a situation that I can relate to, and I think a lot of us can relate to. You're seeing a girl, you meet her parents for the first time, and you have to figure out what you call her parents, his or her parents. I usually go with the Mr. or Mrs. unless it really annoys them, because it's formal, and I want to start that relationship on a formal and respectable foot. using the first name is real bold, especially if you're a guy dating a girl, you're all hot and ripped, and the girl's, she's young and innocent in the eyes of her parents, and you're like, hey, what's up, Todd? I'm smashing this. And you just look her father in the eye and don't break eye contact for 12 seconds, and then you have a fist fight over the counter and knock the vegetable spread down onto the floor. It was a really rough time in 2013. That's not what happened in my life, and I'm not even ripped. So that was a weird tangent, but don't do that. I would just go with the Mr. or Mrs. until the point where it annoys them, which with Megan's parents, for me, was very early on because I said Mrs. Blank to Megan's mom, and she's like, that makes me feel so old. Just call me by my first name. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. It's like Voldemort. You can't say it out loud. It feels so weird. I can't say your first name. It's you got to be formal. My manners, my Midwestern Catholic guilt manners kick in and tell me I can't do that. If I call them by their name that they want me to call them, I'll get sent to hell for some reason. Ipso facto, I don't know. But I feel for you there. This is a small thing, but it's so damn relatable. I still struggle with it to this day. I texted Megan's mom about something yesterday. And instead, I had to reference Megan's father in the text. So I said, your husband, I said, something, your husband did this. Because I'm not going to say, her father's first name. That's very weird and formal to me, but I'm also not going to say Mr. Blank. So I find myself doing that a lot. Like, hey, what's up? You don't have to use introduction names with people if you know them and they know you. I mean, sometimes you do. There's some situations in which you're pigeonholed into doing it, but often that'll suffice. There's sometimes when I'll meet people and I don't remember them because I have a terrible memory. Just absolutely garbage memory is what I have. And people will come up to me and say, hey, Joel, it's been so long. How are you doing? And I'll be like, hey, dude, what's up? Dude is a good one. Dude is the best word in the English dictionary because it's a placeholder for people who are terrible at social interaction and can't remember people's names. I don't know if there's a female version of dude, like, hey, bitch, what's up, girl? How you doing? Them titties looking nice. Okay, that's probably not how girls interact, but you're fine with that, I've talked about this one too long. Let's move on to the difficult one. The one I was kind of referencing at the start, the first one and the last one were the tough ones. So we'll get on to this last difficult one right now. Last awkward situation today says, hey, Joel, I've submitted this situation before a long time ago, and it's gotten worse since, but I thought I'd give another shot for your advice. Whenever I describe this, it's long, but I'll condense it as much as possible. I'll spare the plentiful details and give you the gist of it. My oldest brother was a substance abuser and semi-alcoholic when I was around 8 or 9 years of age. He's 5 years older than me. Wait. Oh, okay, so he's 5 years older than you now. I was like, wait, if he was 25 when you're 8 or 9, okay, whatever. He was abusive and even threatened to kill me once before. Because of his actions of the past, I don't trust people very often and suffer from anxiety and depression, but act completely okay to avoid attention because I'm embarrassed and emotionally I'm dead inside. During this time, my parents fought and the police were basically residents at my house 2 to 3 times a month. He was sent to rehab 3 times but never got better. My parents are still fighting and on the edge of a divorce. I'm still scared from the past and feel somewhat responsible, even though I couldn't control it at the time. I've tried therapy but stopped after 2 sessions because I was scared. I don't really know what else I have anymore. Any input would be of great help. You're one of my favorite YouTubers, and the cruise videos and yours have helped me through a lot of these times to have something to laugh about, so thank you. Hope you see this. Well, first of all, man, I appreciate that last line so much, saying that my videos and my friends' videos have helped you through some of the darkest times in your life. If I've done anything of worth in this world, it is that. That means more to me than a gold plaque, than whatever other accomplishments you could hope to achieve on YouTube, Twitch, whatever. Just knowing that someone took the time during their day to click on one of my stupid videos and they laughed a little bit and it made them feel a little better for those moments during their day. That is the thing that means the most to me about doing this. So I really, 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 really appreciate you saying that. And I'm very sorry about the situation you're going through. The first thing we have to tackle is this feeling responsible for the situation. I know that in situations like this, and I cannot relate to this situation again, I have been so lucky in my life to have a great family unit, and we have gone through some tough times, nothing of this sort, of this magnitude, but I get the feeling of feeling responsible for your siblings. I've had that with my own parents when my siblings have gone through things. And each time I bring that specific idea up to my parents, like I feel like I should have changed this. I feel like I should have stepped in because you're close to you're 5 years younger than your sibling, so that's within the range of feeling close to them and feeling like you can bond with them. And then when they lash out and they have these issues, it's like, well, what could I have done in this situation? And each time I've come to my parents about something like this, expressing those feelings, I think they've really hit the nail on the head and said, what could you have done? What could you have done differently? This is our job. You are their sibling. We are their parents. There is a big difference, and that difference needs to be established. Now, you've also said that your parents are fighting about this, and understandably so. Maybe they have other issues besides this one, but this issue would be enough to drive a wedge between people. And it's unfortunate, but it happens. It happens all the time. Your experience is not unique, unfortunately, but I guess fortunately for you in that there are other people to talk to about this. You don't have to feel alone. I can understand feeling depressed and alone about this. I just want you to relieve yourself of the guilt because I feel like that's step one. I mean, this is something you experienced from your parents, from your brother. Could not imagine being in that situation. Could not imagine what I would do. But you have to let go of that guilt, of that responsibility. What are you going to do at 8 or 9 years old? What are you going to say? You're not this person's parent. Even at 20, you're about 20 right now, 19, 21, whatever it would be. What are you going to tell a 25-year-old? That's your sibling. Sometimes people cannot save themselves. It's an unfortunate and sad reality of the world we live in. Let's go back to that thing we were talking about at the start. Life is unfair. It's not what they show in the movies all the time. Sometimes people drift apart. People destroy themselves internally or externally or destroy others in the midst of destroying themselves. There's not storybook endings, but you are first and foremost responsible for yourself. You're responsible for taking your brain car to the mechanic therapy if you can. And I like that you said you tried it and you stopped going after 2 sessions. That's unfortunate, but I've had that experience as well. I've gone to a therapist and it wasn't really working for me, so I go to another therapist. Is that frustrating? Yes. Do you want it to work on the first try? Yes. But sometimes you need to go to different doctors. Sometimes you need to go to different dentists. If you want it to work, you have to put forth an effort to make it work. And maybe you don't need to go to therapy. Maybe running would help. Maybe just any type of distraction. Because as some of you know, I've been diagnosed with clinical depression before. And there have been times in my life where I felt like, wow, I really need to go to therapy. And then there's other times where I felt like I just need to do more art. I need to draw more. I need to write more. And the situation, like different times call for different situations. I think this would be one where therapy would be especially helpful, just considering all the factors that go into it. But if you want to just distract yourself, that helps. Like you talked about distracting yourself with my videos and my friends' videos, getting your mind off things really helps. And being constructive, having something to do when you wake up. I write a schedule every single night that I go through the next morning. I didn't used to do that, but this has been the happiest period of my life by far, the longest prolonged period of happiness in my life since I was, 15, just a long time in my life, because I have structure. And what you've described is the antithesis. Oh, wait, no. Is that I should have just said the opposite of structure. I'm trying to throw in those big words, Joel. You didn't graduate college. You stop with that. You're trying to get those big words in there, Joel. But no, this is the opposite of structure. So you need some type of structure in your own life. Maybe there's a project you want to work on and you can just focus on that. But I would recommend shopping around for therapists a little bit. I know that's frustrating, but that's the way to make it work for you. You have to work hard to make it work for you. And I think that would be great. But if you're frustrated by that process, I would, again, suggest just distracting yourself and first and foremost, relieve yourself of the guilt and responsibility of what you've done. The number one lesson to learn in life is to treat others how they want to be treated. But one of the other lessons, and maybe like the top 15, is you can't save people from themselves sometimes. And you have to let that go. I hope for the best for your brother. I hope for the best for your family, for your parents. But the person that you are most responsible for, that you do bear the guilt for if you make a mistake, is yourself. And we learn from our mistakes, but you're responsible for making yourself happy. That's the gift. When we talk about life being unfair, the gift of it is you're responsible for your own happiness. People can try to take it away from you, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility and it's your precious thing that you have to hold on to, and sometimes you got to fight for it. So I'm just here to support you in that fight, and I hope you can find a way to get out of the situation in the most positive way possible, and hope for the best for your family. So unfortunate that you're going through that, but I really, really appreciate you sharing that, because it's important for all of us to remember that you're responsible for your own happiness first and foremost, and no one can take that away from you, even if they try. Just stay positive, everyone. Positivity in video games and stuff. So I appreciate you guys so much watching the series. Thank you so much for all the support over the years. And until next episode, have a great one.